Hello and welcome to the Southeastern 14 bracket special, bracket picks. We're all going to unveil our picks. Some of us might not even know what we're doing, might not know where we're going with our picks. That's what makes it fun. Some of us have spent the morning rethinking picks, changing picks. And I'll be honest, I still may have some changes in later, but we'll see where this goes. We're going to have some fun with it. We're going to do a consensus bracket. Before we get there, reminder, the tournament is here. BetOnline is your bracket headquarters for this season with the best bracket contest out there. Odds, lines, info on every game and every round right up into the national championship. You can access the most up-to-date wagering information anytime from your desktop or mobile devices. Even track your bracket real time all the way through the tournament. Head to BetOnline today. Get in on all the action. Remember, use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. Well, the games actually started last night. We had...
No, they didn't.
well, some might say.
You didn't watch
Howard
it?
Howard Wagner started last
Howard
night.
Wagner.
The other game did not. So Howard Wagner has always come through for me in my life, but Virginia has not. And so, yeah.
But I'm going to give you a math problem that you got like when you were in high school. Virginia scored twice as many points in the second half as it scored in the first half. Virginia scored 42 points. How many points did Virginia score in the first half? Blake's head is hurting already.
We're not doing this today. It's bracket pick time. We're not playing games. We're not doing shenanigans. It's time.
He's in a bad mood already, Max.
It's NCAA Tournament Eve. And, yeah, I'm in a foul mood. And I'm ready to pick some winners. Some stone-cold lead pipe locks in the NCAA tournament.
I've changed my bracket like double-digit times already.
We got to make a pact
two of my
here.
Final Four this morning.
Well, hold on. We got to make a pact. All right, so technically we can all change our brackets up until the start of the games tomorrow. But if we're filling these out live in living color here on air, can we change our brackets? Or are we going to hold ourselves to these?
We have a second secret bracket that we could change.
No. No. You get one bracket in the pool that we're doing. We're going to share the link for you guys. Let me find this real quick. You guys discuss amongst yourselves. Let me share the link to the group.
I've always been a big advocate of just one bracket. I don't like when people do multiple.
I am too.
Switch up every different scenario.
You get one bracket that's the others are just like lottery tickets in my mind. There's no problem with filling out other things like you're picking Powerball, right? But your bracket is your bracket. Like you have a main one, and that's what you want to fill out 34 brackets and say, "Hey, look what I did."
Yeah,
look at my bracket and brag about it.
Because then you get to like the Sweet 16, Elite 8, and you have one bracket with one team winning and one with the other, and you're just like, okay, I guess I'll have one bracket left. I don't like it. Give me one and stick to one.
Did you guys see the story on ESPN today about the guy in Vermont who picked a bracket a few years ago and he got the first 49 games right?
Yeah, that was back when I lived in Vermont.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
I'm joking.
All right, so I've dropped a link to the bracket challenge in the comments. I don't know if you can click on that. If you can, go to it, enter your bracket into the Southeastern 14 group of champions. I'd have a better name, but it's fine. We're just filling out brackets here. You can join Blake's Big Ballers and all the other brackets in the Southeastern 14 group of champions.
Bar's Bully Ball.
Oh, yeah. Well, I knew Bully Ball. Tucker, I have never seen anyone support a single college basketball player more than you support Sam Walters. But for $2, you're allowed to do it. Tucker coming in with a $2 super chat. Alabama, your national champions. Yeah, Brett, I stole it from you. Blake's Big Ballers. I was going to go, Chris wanted me to go Big Baller Blake, but I can't take that'd be gimmick infringement, and I don't want to do that. So we switched it up a little bit.
Because it's so different what you did.
Yes, you can't possibly say that's the same thing because the words are swapped around. So, yeah, it's perfectly fine. So, there
All
you go.
right, should we get into it?
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to pull up our blank brackets on the screen, and we are just going to go through and make our picks. Now, Chris, there will be a shot clock on some of these. We are not going to go to the spreadsheet, any advanced analytics on every game. We are going to have to hold ourselves to a shot clock because our guy Max has to get to Charlotte, North Carolina for first round action. So, Chris, you get the luxury of going first.
The good news is I picked a bracket this morning and I remember what I picked. So,
wow,
we can do this. Are we ready?
We're ready.
All right, I think I need to share my tab here.
Yep.
Oh boy.
All right.
This could go one of two ways.
This would be the biggest success story of the year if Chris can do this.
Oh gosh.
We're off to a bad start. Okay, while we're stalling here, so we are going to do a consensus bracket too at the end. So we're just going to kind of go, hey, 3-0, 2-1, whoever gets the picks, and then we'll kind of share what our consensus bracket would look like. No, we're all going to pick our individual bracket. And if you listened into the gut bracket, there's going to be a few changes from the gut bracket. So the chaos bracket set in stone, but the gut bracket, there will be a few changes. So,
Hey, guess who figured it out?
At this.
All right,
here we go.
Why? I can't believe you doubted me.
All right, Chris, speak the games because this may be a little small on people's screens. So you're just going to quickly move through, pick a winner, and that's how we're going to do this.
Well, spoiler alert. 116s, I just advanced the one, so no drama there. FAU Northwestern, that's a tough one. And I'm going to go counter public here and go Northwestern because of Boo Booey.
Okay.
I don't know, just a gut feeling. San Diego State pedigree. I know a lot of people are picking Yale to beat Auburn, and I get why Yale could be a tough matchup.
Who's picking Yale to beat Auburn?
John.
I'm not saying any of us would do that. I'm just saying.
I have seen more people pick Auburn to win the national championship and or get to the national championship than I've ever seen maybe for any SEC team in my life. So,
well, I'm just going to tell you, I heard Jeff Goodman pick Yale to beat Auburn. So there's
that's one person. I don't think that's everybody.
Probably some other person somewhere that did it.
There's no chance.
Duquesne, BYU. I thought about this, but it would have screwed some stuff up later. Spoiler alert. Keith Dambro coaching his last game at Duquesne. He's retired. They defend like crazy, but BYU can really shoot it. I tend to go shooting teams when it's close, so I'm going BYU. That's a team analytically that was top 16, 17, I think, in most places. I didn't even give this one a thought. I took Illinois over Moorhead, although Preston Spradlin's a pretty good coach. I don't know that they've ever won a tournament game, but he's the guy that recruited Janai Broom and Talon Cooper out of high school. So a guy who knows a little bit and might be getting a bigger job, by the way, too. This was a tough one. I went Drake with this one, and I think it was shooting. To be honest, I looked at so many I can't tell you. And then I took Iowa State automatically without a thought. So that sets us up. Is this the way you want me to go? Just do the games, game by game, region by region?
Let's go first round, and then let's go that way. So go to the
and then go to somebody else's first round. Okay,
yep. Let's do that. I like that.
North Carolina. I'm taking Michigan State. Don't feel great about it. I'm taking St. Mary's for coaching reasons.
Wow.
Plus, St. Mary's just grinds you to a halt. And I don't mean it that way. I actually know Bryce and like him, but I just don't know that he's ever. When it's a. Well, anyway, I'll just leave it where I was. I'm taking Charleston is one of my 4-13 upsets. I'm sure the crowd here will love that.
That'll please the crowd in the audience here.
Oh, they'll love that.
Cougars.
This one is interesting. Everybody's taking New Mexico, and I had New Mexico originally. I looked up some things. Clemson can really grind you defensively and slow the tempo. New Mexico likes to play fast, and I looked at how New Mexico played like against UNLV and some other teams that really grind you down, and it was not good. So I'm taking Clemson in this one, where most people I think are taking probably 11 in this one. I'm taking Baylor without much of a thought, although Matt Lingle's pretty good coach. Colgate's pretty good mid-major program. I went Dayton. I went Nevada in this one, I think, based on offense. And Arizona, the only team playing a coach who's already been fired, to win its first-round matchup with Long Beach State. Other half of the bracket, Houston, I'm taking A&M because I might have some other plans down the line with that one. James Madison, I'm taking. I thought about Vermont over Duke. James Madison's 30-3, 31-3. 2 of the losses were Appalachian State. I don't know what the issue was in the matchup there, but you got to get your upsets from somewhere. That seemed like a good spot. I didn't put as much thought into the right side of the bracket, so I might need to change those. I'm taking Texas Tech. That might be a Nice's go there pick. We detailed how Oakland could potentially give Kentucky some issues, but I don't really believe it. We don't know who Florida's playing, but I'll take the Gators, and I'm taking Marquette over Western Kentucky, which leads us to the bottom bracket, the Midwest. Purdue. Oh, goodness. I don't think I looked at this one at all, but I think I decided – well, I did a little bit. I took TCU. If I knew why, I don't remember it now, but I'm going to stick with that. I'm taking McNeese over Gonzaga. I'm taking Sanford over Kansas, setting up the 12-13. Kevin McCullough, I believe, has been ruled out for that game. I was leaning Sanford anyway with Kansas's issues. I don't know what Hunter Dickinson's shoulder looks like these days. Oregon's a popular upset pick over South Carolina. I'm going the other way. Father Lamont Paris. Taking Creighton. I haven't looked at this one since it became a matchup. I'm going to take Texas for the purpose of this, and I'm taking Tennessee to beat St. Peter's handily.
All right. A few upsets in there.
Back to the East.
Oh, it's me again. I thought we were all
done? All right, Chris's bracket's done. Here we go.
No, I thought you were saying that you guys were going to do your first rounders, but I'll go ahead and do mine.
Yeah, just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, I think you just go ahead and fill out
Connecticut, Auburn, BYU in an upset.
Ooh.
Nice.
And going chalk. BYU and Iowa State played twice. They split it. BYU scored more points. I'm going BYU. And I'm going – I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it. I am taking Connecticut.
Auburn fans, you got to get on this guy after that.
I swear to God, that was not intentional. But I think Auburn does have the goods to do it, but it's hard to bet against UConn in this setting.
Wow.
UConn to the Final Four. This one I debated, but I couldn't do it. I'm going St. Mary's because of tempo. That anything could happen down here. I think that is a fascinating 4-team pairing. I don't even want to know. Taking Baylor, which I had as my Final Four.
Wow.
Are we going to stick with that? We'll find out in a minute. I've got them facing Arizona. Here's where we get really interesting. I'm going to stick with Carolina. It was there 2 years ago. RJ Davis. I may have St. Mary's too far anyway, and that's what factored into my thinking. Changed my mind. Taking Arizona. Arizona is one of the few teams in the country to lead on both ends of the floor. Arizona to the Final Four. Right side, I've been teasing this. I'm going to jump out on a limb. I'm going to do it. Houston's banged up. We've seen that matchup earlier. I'm going Duke here. I'm going to do that one. God knows what's going to show up with Kentucky. And I'll take Marquette even though Kolec's banged up. This is where I get really popular here too. Because this would just be so much fun.
You're going to do Duke here or Duke, Kentucky, aren't you?
Wow.
And then, of course, you're going to pick Duke. Oh my! I don't know what. Never mind. I'll hold my comments on Duke in a minute.
Down to the Midwest. But by the way, full disclosure, I did not know what I was going to do in the South. I'm not. Houston would be an easy answer if Houston was healthy and hadn't just got blown to smithereens in the Big 12 tournament, but that's not the way it went down. Going Purdue. Will Wade.
Wow.
Creighton. Vols. This is where I think Tennessee runs into trouble because it's a big team. Blue Jays.
Remember, speak out each matchup, Chris.
Sorry.
So that people hear this on the
I'm
podcast.
going.
Podcast feed. They have no idea what's going on right now.
Purdue, McNeese in the Sweet 16. Creighton, Tennessee in the Sweet 16. Purdue and Creighton advancing. My final four: Connecticut, Arizona, Duke, and Creighton. I'm going all Big East.
Woo-hoo. Give
me UConn to repeat in a high-scoring game.
All right, 180 on the points, huh? That's a slugfest. All right. Well, UConn fans, all zero of you in here. That
does seem like a lot of points.
That's a lot of points for a UConn Creighton game, but that's all right. Maybe I don't know how to look at the previous games, but
the Big East takes the disrespect and says we'll meet you in the championship game. All right.
Very interesting.
I like that storyline.
By the way, previous games 85-66 and 62-48. So they're going to struggle to reach 180 if you get 62-48. But
I think I actually meant 160, but that's what we put in.
Whatever.
Might be revising that one.
Yeah. Well, wow. Big Baller Brett and Chris on the same page here. National championship picks.
Well, can we address the Tennessee issue? Because I was thinking this was the year they got in, but I've told this from the beginning. I don't like Tennessee matchup against big teams. They've got not just one, but Purdue in there, but two. They got Purdue and Creighton. I think that I don't find the first couple of games a big problem. Now I was. Yeah, well, I saw the matchup and I was like, oh crap, that's not what Tennessee needs.
All right. Well,
okay.
Very interesting, Chris. Very interesting. I'd give you a solid B+. I think you did really well there.
I like the Samford McNeese madness meeting up.
It always happens somewhere.
I think we had that in the gut bracket, didn't we?
I think so.
I think we did.
Blake, you or me next. Doesn't matter.
No, we know how this works. You're next.
Okay.
I like to say mine for the. By the way, guys, I've sent this to Max. Max, I have read through this entire 95-page VSiN March Mania betting guide. The most tremendous resource you will find out there, and it has completely changed my thoughts on some of these matchups in the first round. And I'll explain that as we go through it. But
me too.
Yeah. So
I'm really
pleased the state of Alabama. I see.
Listen, this is my favorite. This is my favorite sporting event of the whole year. I've got notes written down on every region like a psycho.
Oh yeah.
Like a psycho. So that's the only way. If you're gonna do it, you might as well go all out.
Might as well. Hey, we got 300+ people in the chat right now. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button if it's your first time joining us. Also, you can leave a super chat. We'll get to your chats after we fill out our brackets because I'm sure we'll have plenty of discussion on certain matchups when we all fill out our individual brackets. So, be sure to, again, leave us a super chat, all that fun stuff. And shout out to Aaron, by the way. Said first live stream he's been able to catch. Right. He's been watching since the 2021 football days. So, we've been around for 3 years now. Wow. So, appreciate you, Aaron, and glad to see you back on here. So, all right, Max. And now the floor is yours.
I would just like to start by saying I am historically one of the worst bracket pickers. I picked Virginia to win it all when they lost to UMBC, and I picked Kentucky to win it all when they lost to St. Peter. So just want to start with that. I'm not good at this, but I love diving into it. Okay. We're going to start out. UConn, of course. And then I'm going with the March Darlings. I'm going with FAU. I like the guards, and I think Matthew Nicholson might be out, the Northwestern center. but
Their point guard's out
there.
too, but it's been a while. He's
Yeah.
been out. So
And then I'm going UAB 12-5.
Mm-hmm.
They've got this guy Yaxel, like Lundeberg or something. I don't know how to say his last name, but I looked him up, and the first thing that comes up is like yaxellundeberg.com. He's got his own website. I said, I'm sold. I'm in on you, buddy. That was it. That was the whole reason behind that pick. So UAB. We're going Auburn. Auburn's going to win by 47.5. Yale can't shoot, and Broom's going to erase everything. Then we're going BYU. I know Duquesne's hot. I think they've won like 8 in a row. And they actually have a top 30 defense on KenPom, I think. So I'm a little bit nervous for that game, but I'll go BYU. I like the shooting. Then Illinois, obviously just 3. I don't know, went with my gut. I'm going Drake here. I actually like Drake. They're the number 1 defensive rebounding team in the country. So you're not making your shots, you're not grabbing that rebound. And then I'm going Iowa State. So there is my, what is that, in the East? Not too many upsets, but we do have one. Then North Carolina. Then for the biggest win of the whole tournament, it might be a 70-point differential. Going Mississippi State. I'll be there for that game. That game is opening up the tournament. Can be very nervous about that one. Then I'm going Grand Canyon. I love me some 12/5. Grand Canyon has this NBA guy. What's his Tyon Grant Foster, something like that. I watched him last night for the first time. I had St. Mary's first, watched this guy, and I said, okay, cool. I'm going Grand Canyon. I'm sold. Going Alabama. I'm nervous about this one. Charleston's 20-0 when they score over 80 points. I'm just hoping Alabama can do their usual thing, and we're going to score more points than you do type of strategy. And then I was going to go New Mexico originally, but I flipped to Clemson because I saw this stat. Where is it? Yeah, here we go. Mountain West teams seeded 8 or worse are 3-32.
Oh,
since 2003. So over the past 21 years, a Mountain West team, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever you want to call it, they're 3-32. I saw that stat, said I'm sold. Clemson, you're going through.
so
Baylor,
the whole Mountain West is getting eliminated in round 1 by that.
you will come to see I do not have a single Mountain West team picked. So, fading the Mountain West.
By the way, Beeson guide coming through again in that one. I got that one on my short list of stats I picked from there. Tremendous stuff.
Crazy stat. Yeah. So then I got Baylor beating Colgate. I know Colgate is usually decent, but I was watching the 3-man weave, and they have a pretty good eye on mid-majors, and they said this Colgate team just is not at the same level as previous years. I'll trust them. I'll go Baylor. And then just the Mountain West elimination, going Dayton.
The Mountain West.
Don't have any reason why I like Dayton. I just don't like Nevada. That's it. And then we'll go Arizona just because it's a 2. So yeah, just one upset in the, what is that? The West? Yeah. Then up to the South, we'll go Houston. I've been seeing a lot of Longwood. Like people like to do a little flyer on Longwood money line. I'm not seeing it. Then I'm going A&M. Nebraska has been playing really good defense. A&M has kind of unlocked their offense a bit with Obaseki. I think that's going to be a great game. And then I'm going James Madison. I have every 12 winning so far. Come on, it's March. I want to pick an upset. So going James Madison. I don't think they've lost since like December. I'll go with the Dukes. And then I'm going. Speaking of Dukes, I'm going Duke. Vermont they've got a great coach, and I feel like they win the America East every single year. But I didn't want to have a Vermont against James Madison, really. So a big Duke. Then this game is killing me because if Warren Washington is not playing, I'm not going to pick Texas Tech. But if he is playing, then I like Tech. So I've got a pick right now, but I'm waiting on that Warren Washington news. And then I've got Kentucky. I just think I'm a little bit scared for Oakland. I am. I feel like Golke might bang like 7 threes in my face, but I'll go with Kentucky. I'm going Florida. I liked them all along, and I'm not letting one injury sway me too much. I'll pick Florida, and then I'll go Marquette. So same thing as the other regions, just a 12 seed.
Here we go. Now we get to the good stuff.
Purdue, going TCU, just another Mountain West team. That's it. I'm not picking Mountain West. Then this thing I lost sleep over right here. I don't know Gonzaga and Kansas to save my life. I've had all 4 of these teams in my Sweet 16 at one point. And what I did is I just reversed out of all of it, and I went with Gonzaga and Kansas, and I hate myself for it. But I couldn't do it. And then I'm going
Kansas. Okay.
And then I'm going, this one is going to get me, you guys are going to kill me for this one, but I'm going Oregon. I like N'Faly Dante a lot. I feel like he's going to give the interior for South Carolina fits. And I don't think I have an 11 over a 6, and I didn't want to pick all 6s. So I got down to this region, and I was like, well, I guess I have to pick an 11. I'm going Creighton. I have seen some Akron out there, but I really like Creighton. They're really old. And then I'll go Texas again. Colorado State's from the Mountain West, so I'm not picking them. And then Tennessee. That's going to be a crazy game. Mm-hmm. Okay. Back up to the top. I had FAU picked originally, but then I backed out of it. Going UConn there. UConn will meet up with Auburn. It's going to be a crazy game. I really think whoever comes out of that, UConn or Auburn, I feel like they're going to have a good chance. I am taking a flyer on BYU. Chris, I'm going with you too. I like BYU shooting. I'm scared to death for Duquesne. They're hot. But I'll go BYU. And Illinois has a Ken Pom defense like 92 or something like that. And then my first big upset deep in the bracket, I got Drake beating Iowa State. I saw this stat that I think it was teams not ranked to start the year that are a top 2 seed have never made it past the Sweet 16. And last year, Purdue and Marquette fell into that, and we know how that ended. So I'll go with Drake. I picked Drake last year to win, and they barely lost. So I'll go with Drake. And then we're going to keep the madness flowing with Mississippi State beating North Carolina.
Knew that was coming.
That was entirely predictable.
This is just, there's levels to this game, and bully ball travels, okay? So I'm going Mississippi State. I also just have a burning hatred for North Carolina, so very biased there. And then we are getting even crazier. We are picking Grand Canyon.
Big baller Brett just checked out. Oh, no.
Grand Canyon to the Sweet 16. Don't really have an explanation for this one. Just kind of got wild and stuck it. Probably not going to happen, so probably don't pick it, but I just want to get crazy. Then down here, we got Clemson, Baylor. I don't like this whole thing down here. Clemson, Baylor, Dayton, Arizona. I just don't know what to do with these guys, so I just went Baylor and Arizona by default. I feel terrible about this whole region. And then up to the top, I think this is going to be Houston's hardest game. I think Nebraska or A&M, whatever one they play, I think that's going to be their toughest game because I like the matchups they have on the way out. I'm going to go Houston, but I don't feel good about it at all. Then I'm going to go Duke because they got the 12 seed. And then we get some more madness. Going Texas Tech.
Right,
over Kentucky. Hear me out on these two. Kentucky and Alabama both have sub 100 Ken Pom defenses. And I tweeted out the post-tournament numbers, went back and looked at the pre-tournament numbers. There's only been one team in the history of college basketball that's had a sub 100 defense that's made the Final Four. It was last year with Miami. 4 out of the 28 have made the Elite Eight. 4 out of 28. And then like half of them made it to the Sweet 16 or something. So I'm taking my chances. I'm not trying to pick the 5th out of 29th. So I'm going Texas Tech, and that's why I picked Grand Canyon too. And And then I'm going Marquette. I'm pretty sure Kolek's going to be healthy. And I think over like the past month and a half or something, the only teams that they've lost to are UConn and Creighton. So I'll go Marquette. If Henlockton was healthy, I would pick Florida. Yeah. Then I'm going Purdue over TCU. TCU always seems to give that second round team a lot of trouble. I think they almost beat Arizona as an 8-9 a few years back. So that could be a good game, but I'm going Purdue. And then I'm going Gonzaga. I think they've made like 8 straight Sweet 16. So I'll just go with it and try to make it 9 straight. And then we're going chalk on the bottom, 3 Creighton and 2 Tennessee. I think Texas is probably going to play Tennessee super close, but I think Connect might be the difference there. And then we're up in what is this now? The Elite Eight. Going to the Elite Eight. Picking Auburn over UConn. Riding with Auburn. I do not think UConn is going to go back to back. Last year they had Jordan Hawkins, Andre Jackson, Sonogo, Klingon, all these guys. They're good now. They're good, but last year they were insane. And then we have BYU and Drake. So we're going to go with BYU. I'm not picking Drake to the Elite Eight. I don't know how I ended up there. Oh, and then we have Mississippi State against Grand Canyon.
Of course. I mean, the obvious, Sweet 16 match.
Like everyone else has. And we're going to go with Mississippi State. And then Baylor, Arizona. This is just, I don't like either of these teams. It's just, I don't like Baylor more than I don't like Arizona. So I'm going Arizona, but I don't like either of them. And then up top, Houston against Duke. I think Duke's weakness all year has been physicality. So I think no matter who they run into, Duke, I think if it's A&M, whoever it is up here, I think they're going to run into too much physicality and lose. So I got Houston, but that could easily be A&M and Nebraska, I feel like. And then I'm not picking Texas Tech to the Elite Eight. So I have Marquette. A lot of mental gymnastics that went into this bracket. And then I've got Purdue beating Gonzaga. I don't think Gonzaga has the team to go to the Elite Eight. And I like kind of the Purdue revenge factor.
The comments.
I'm not even looking at them. They're probably just killing me right now.
And then Auburn fans love you. I mean, why would they not?
I've got Tennessee over Creighton. I actually thought about this matchup a lot. And they play that drop coverage with Kalkbrenner. And I feel like Connect would just be able to get to that mid-range kind of pull-up jumper he does all day. So I'll go Tennessee also because I'm biased to the SEC. So, all right, to the Final Four. Welcome, Auburn. You impressed me last week, saw you up close, and I'm buying in. Give me Auburn to the Final Four, and they will be playing Mississippi State.
Oh, my goodness.
In the Final Four. Give me the Bulldogs.
Oh, my.
Come on, it's March. You gotta live a little.
If this comes through, you're going to fill out a bracket every year.
This will be a glorious day for Southeastern 14.
Yeah, because you're going to be on every platform in the world talking about this matchup.
Hey, well, if it does happen, I'll probably win my bracket pools. So
you will win our bracket pool if this happens, guaranteed.
Then we've got just a nice little 1-2. Didn't want to get too crazy. Picking Houston to go to the Final Four, and I feel horrible about it. Absolutely horrible. But I just somehow ended up there. And then Purdue, Tennessee. Nice, another 1-2. Just want to go light. I was stuck on this for a long time. I actually had Tennessee for a while, but I couldn't have 3 SEC teams on my Final Four. So I went with Purdue. So this is the Final Four. Auburn, Mississippi State, just like everyone predicts, and then Houston and Purdue. Really, I just have to have the left side of my bracket hit. I don't even care about the whole right half. We're going to go Auburn in the national championship game, playing Purdue. Big matchup, Broome versus Edey. And you already know who I'm going with.
Yeah.
Give me those winners.
Okay. Hold on. Can I just offer my rapid reaction? Remember, before this guy filled out his bracket, he is the same person who picked Virginia to win it all when UMBC beat them. He's the same person who picked St. Peter's to beat, or Kentucky to win it all when St. Peter's beat them. So he just picked Auburn to win the whole thing. I'm about to change my bracket to Yale in round number 1, and we're going to see what happens.
I did, though. I also picked Baylor to win it all in 2021 when they cruised. Listen, there's no in between. We either got the winner right here or Yale is winning. No in between
It's a
here.
changed man. As Spencer says, Max is a changed man.
That's what I got.
It all.
I'll be honest. I liked some stats and some trends with the first round games and whatnot, but after that, it's March. I just had fun with it.
All right. Well, let's get to some quick super chats. Tucker, of course, coming through.
I gotta look
Sam
through
Walters,
these.
$2. Joshua, out there, Max. Do this. Yeah. So, and Stephen points out you're due for a winner. It's a great point. I mean, you are due here to hit on this one. So, yeah.
The thing is, though, is Mississippi State is the first game. I could be down a Final Four team in the first 2 hours.
Oh, that would be bad.
That's usually that's what worries me about that game. That's what worries me.
Check on Max at that point.
Oh, that worries me for that one.
Living on the edge.
Living on the edge. All right. Well, overall thoughts. I mean, I think you took some bold risks, but it's March and crazy things happen in March. That's my commentary. Chris, do you have any commentary?
I have one thought.
They're lottery tickets. We're all going to be wrong and way wrong. It's just where.
Here's what I've been telling my friends, because they know I do this and they're like, Max, who should I pick in my bracket? This is what I say. Last year, if someone came up to you before and said, hey guys, I really know I got a good feel for my bracket. I got Miami, San Diego State in the championship, and FAU in the Final Four. I feel good about it. You'd be like, you're a psycho lunatic. You need some help. And they would have won every bracket pool they were in. So I don't want to hear nothing.
Yep. This is the era where this starts to happen.
Yep.
So I don't disagree with you, Max. I think there's definitely something to that. So
it could go downhill quick.
Yeah, it could. But all right. Well, I guess it's my turn.
Oh yeah. I'm so excited for this.
Oh boy. You want to talk about having not a clue where you're about to go with any of these picks. I've got my VEASAN guide here. I've got a couple things I want to point out that they had some great stats on. Max brought up one about the Mountain West. That's, really interesting, I thought. But okay, so let us begin here.
Hey, Blake, look who's back in the chat.
Who?
Look.
Oh boy. Look who's here.
Where's Steak?
Steak has jumped in just in time for me
Steak.
to pick Tennessee to win the national championship.
What
to put the ultimate
pull for?
curse on them.
I'll show you who and why I pull for a team. Right here is a signed autograph from Kyrie Irving when he was on Duke. My first grade teacher gave it to me as a present.
Oh my!
Ever since then, I've pulled for Duke, but since Coach K left, the program's gone to crap. I'm an SEC guy.
Wow. In case you couldn't tell, by Auburn and Mississippi State Final Four. But anyways, all right. Are we ready?
We're ready
for Blake's Big Ballers to come through here in the bracket. All right. UConn is going to advance to the second round. There's no reason to get too wild here. I am going FAU as well. Now this one. So, per the VEASAN March Mania betting guide, the number 2 team in terms of upset victim qualifiers, so they have to meet all of this criteria. Max has seen this. He's looked through it. The number 2 team on this list is San Diego State. And boy, will I get to the number 1 team here in just a second. Also, with San Diego State, the same amount of points in terms of the marks against them, Clemson and Texas Tech as well. So, worth noting. However, never mind. I'm picking UAB. I'm going Auburn. I don't think there's any surprise there. This is one I really thought hard about, BYU and Duquesne. Mm-hmm. Duquesne has been on a run here. What a great story it would be if they were to make a run here with Keith Dambrot retiring, all this stuff. Good coach. But I just tend to think BYU's a little too much for him. This is one I also took a little bit of a peek at here, maybe more so than you would think. I feel like one of these 3 seeds are going to be in trouble. And
Illinois
power
does have
ranking
some
them.
defensive issues.
Yeah, power ranking them, I'm not sure. This is one that I would tend to look at a little bit closer maybe, but I'm not going to do it to break my bracket just yet. Drake, all in on Drake on this one. All in on Iowa State on this one. All right, we go down to the West, and now things are starting to get interesting. North Carolina. So, in our prediction video, I picked Mississippi State. However, I am picking Michigan State on this one, and I will explain why shortly, perhaps. Sorry, Max, I'm kicking one of your Final Four teams to the curb already.
It's all game. It's all game.
All right, this one. I really went back and forth on this one, but there was a stat about the WAC, and it's not. Let me find it real quick because I think this could be for people filling out their brackets. I think this is useful information. WAC teams, this is per the VEASAN guide. WAC teams have won just 2 of their last 23 games in the NCAA tournament since 2006, going 10-13 against the spread, but they are on a 5-game against the spread winning streak. And so, the odds would just tell you that these teams just do not fare well in these kind of matchups. So, I'm going to go St. Mary's on this one. Alabama fans, for everyone who thought I hated this matchup at the start, I didn't love it, but I like it more now than I did, so I am not really thinking twice about picking Alabama here. This one, I know the stat is there for the Mountain West, but you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm just going to go all in on the Mountain West, knowing that I don't think all of them can lose. So, I mean, surely some of these teams are going to get wins somewhere. So I'm going to take New Mexico for this one. Baylor is going to be the pick on that one. This is another one where I looked at it. I want to fade the Mountain West. But I like the matchup for Nevada the more I looked at this one. So I picked that one. Long Beach State, another one. Could we get a Long Beach State Duquesne where you got Keith Dambrot retiring at Duquesne? Dan Munson's been fired at Long Beach State. Can we just get that in the Final Four? That wouldn't surprise me at all. It would actually surprise me a little bit. All right. Houston over Longwood. Texas A&M, I feel better about the matchup there. 3-0. We're going with James Madison over Wisconsin. So we're putting the kiss of death on James Madison here. But the more I look at the matchup, the more I like it. Duke, another one where I really looked at this one for a bit. Thought I may like Vermont. I don't. This one's interesting to me. I mean, I think this is probably one that I've gone back and forth on. Top 5 in the first round. I don't love Texas Tech, but I don't love the fact either that are we just banking on NC State getting hot at the right time? You never know about those kind of teams, but I tend to think the team that performed better throughout the season is the one to go with. I've said I'm a little bit worried for Kentucky. I don't love the matchup. And, again, 3-14s, we've seen it before. Florida, I like the matchup against either one of these teams. Marquette advancing there. Purdue, heads on. These are the kind of 8-9 games I just don't put a lot of stock into, knowing that I'm not going to advance this team beyond the second round. So I'm going to go with TCU on this one. I have flipped this from what I had it before. I had McNeese, as we know, in the Final Four in the chaos bracket, but this is not the chaos bracket. And so, this is not the chaos bracket. The more I look at the matchup, I'm picking the Zags in this one. And I've actually flipped my thoughts on the other game. So instead of going with Kansas like I had initially, I think this is a great matchup for Samford when you look at the way they shoot the ball and just what they're getting in a Kansas team that is without McCullough, all this. So I am going to take a chance on flipping this one. And I know there's someone in the chat that just keeps saying that our bracket is terrible. You bet it is. This is what you do when you fill out brackets. They're all going to be terrible. I could just fill out all the top seeds along the way if you want, but what fun would that be, Max? What fun would that be?
Have a little fun with it. It's March.
As we said, we are going to go with the route that motivates Lamont Paris the most and his team, and so I am also going to pick Oregon because I will refer back to the VEASAN guide on this one. We talked about our concerns with the matchup. The number one team, the team that has the most marks against it per the VEASAN guide, remember this is using historical betting stuff, all this other stuff, the number one team that is marked as the potential upset victim of the first round is South Carolina. And so I am going to be putting that into play here to help Father Lamont Paris even more when it comes to the motivation that he needs for his team.
Yeah. Yes.
As I said on the 314s, I am a little bit nervous about this one too, but I think Creighton's obviously the better team. Better team doesn't always win, but I'm picking Creighton in this one. This was a tough one here because, again, it's like, do you go all in on the Mountain West? I've gone way too far on the Mountain West maybe already, so I'm going to take Texas, an experienced team, Tennessee, St. Peter's, not thinking twice on that one. All right, UConn to the Sweet 16, Auburn to the Sweet 16. Yeah, this is where things get crazy, just like it did in Max's part of the bracket. I don't know what to do with these four teams. I don't have a clue what I want to do with any of these four because I could theoretically move Drake all the way to the Elite Eight, and I'd be fine with it based on studying them some more. I think if we're finding the chaos part of the entire bracket, I think it's right here in these 8.
Yep.
So when I see that scenario, here's what I do. I go with the top seeds because I'm like, I have a better chance of advancing, and the probability is that the top seeds advance, so that's what I'm going to do here, even though I don't love it. I think Illinois could beat in the first round, like I said. I think BYU could beat in the first round. I think Drake could be. So it's like, it advanced the top seeds, right? All right, so we've gotten there. All right, now this is where I have to make a decision because I can either completely disrupt the possibility of just throwing everything out the window here and hoping that North Carolina does not make a run because when I looked, and Max, I'm sure you saw the same thing, and maybe I'm leaning too much into this, but I like the history. I like the historical trends and this kind of stuff. The number one Cinderella qualifier in this entire tournament, when you look at all the historical stats and everything that's there, this is looking at this VSiN guide, which again, I keep bringing it up because it's such great information and it's helped me over the years and kind of trying to identify some of these teams. Michigan State is the number one team on this list. They check every single box.
Yep.
All the like 10, 11, 12, whatever. They check every single box on there.
They do.
And so, but it's like, do I want to do this? Do I really want to do this? I'm going to do it. So I'm going to pick Michigan State to move on to the Sweet 16.
I thought about that, by the way.
And this is where, because I'm doing it in the West, because I think, as we said, the West has North Carolina's the 4th number 1 seed, right? So I'm taking a chance on the West being the chaos part of the bracket, because we usually see that sometimes when you have that kind of scenario where you've got the lowest number 1 seed, crazy things happen, all that. So things are opening up for Alabama right now, in my opinion, when you look at the way this thing is starting to play out. Now, I know that's not going to play to the crowd in here, but a lot of Auburn fans, I get it. But I think things start to open up a little bit, which, of course, makes me absolutely nervous now at matchup number 1 for Alabama. They're going to come out and go 6 of 48 from 3, and we're done with this thing. But we're taking a chance here, okay? So I don't love this part of the bracket either, but I'm advancing Baylor and Arizona. I just think you advance the 2 best teams, fade the Mountain West in the second round. That's what I'm going to do. All right, so we go up here. I thought about it, and then I decided to pick Houston. So now to this next part. James Madison and Duke. So I really wanted to pick James Madison here because I tried to find all those, trends in the past to seeing teams like this, but also don't want to completely destroy my bracket just yet and take too big of a chance because I feel like I've done that in the West region. So I want to go Duke to advance. I don't think this is the greatest Duke team in the world, but I'm going to take them to the Sweet 16, even though I think there are potential pitfalls here early on. I'm picking Kentucky because, I don't trust Texas Tech. I don't trust NC State. I don't know who wins that one. I don't really care. If Kentucky advances, I think they're going to be fine and get to the Sweet 16. Now this game. So the SEC homer in me, you may think, is coming into this one. So I am a little bit worried for Marquette here because we have to go back to everything we talk about. And Marquette's got good guards, but, man, we all sat there last week and we said, this guard group for Florida, I think, can be as good as anybody's in the country when they're playing well. And so I really, really want to give Florida the pick here. But the more I looked at the numbers, I think I'm going to have to go with Marquette. And so it was really challenging for this one, but I think I'm going to have to go to Marquette to advance in this game. I wanted to do it. Gut bracket, I picked them. I picked Florida to the I picked Florida to win the national championship in the chaos bracket. Don't forget that. So we've at least got something going for Florida in this year's bracket, picking out whatever. So Purdue advances past TCU. Again, I don't think much about the 8-9 games unless I know I'm going to advance them further. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm going to pick Gonzaga.
Oh.
And one of the reasons why is because there is everyone out there around the world who seems to think that the Zags are completely done in round one. And so I think you're going to see a lot of fading Gonzaga in this one because it's not the same team we've seen in recent years, but it's still a pretty dang good team. And I want to apologize to Big Gator EJ. I know EJ is upset that I took the Gators out in the second round. So I'm just a little bit, I know. When you go against EJ, you got problems. But I have to do it here. So I'm going to take the Zags. I don't think that's going to be a popular pick, but I think that's one of the reasons why I'm taking them in that one. All right, I'm sticking with Creighton. You guys know I was high on Creighton.
Yep.
I just, look, in the matchup, this is one of those where it's like, if you're talking about like a year that Rick Barnes is going to overcome the voodoo, right? It's got to be against his former team.
Against Texas.
Because it all just plays up perfectly, I think. So I'm picking Tennessee to the Sweet 16 in this one. Okay. So now is where I have to make the biggest decision of my entire bracket here. Do I set up the possibility of a certain matchup in the Final Four, which the Chaos bracket almost predicted in the SEC tournament? Or do I pick UConn to march on and have a chance to repeat as a national champion? Because I think, and let me bring up the stat real quick because I know Max saw this. If you look, and if you want to know why everyone keeps talking about why this region was completely screwed up from a seeding standpoint, let me go to this. The potential Final Four qualifiers, via VEASAN, of course. The three teams that have the highest marks and are only not checking 2 of the, I think it's 12 boxes. Guess who the top 2 teams are?
One of them's UConn.
It's UConn and Auburn.
Yep.
They're the top 2 teams in terms of Final Four qualifiers. And another team that's right behind them is Creighton. I wanted to point that out. But now if we take it a step further, okay, we're going to go one step further. Potential championship qualifiers. Connecticut, number 1. There's another team that's number 2 I'm going to get to in a second. They're tied with UConn, actually. Guess who's number 2 after the first tie? Auburn.
Purdue. Oh,
it's Auburn.
Wow.
So Auburn checks all these boxes. Like, they check so many different boxes. And yet they're playing the team that also checks just as many boxes as they do.
Come on.
But this is an SEC show, and I'm taking Auburn to the Elite Eight.
Come on.
So, because I have no idea what to do down here, I'm going to advance the top seed, which is Iowa State. So I'm going to have Auburn, Iowa State in the Elite Eight there. I told you, I said I think it's setting up for Alabama, which, again, makes me as nervous as I've ever been. But we all know who the high man on Alabama has been all year long, except for, March 18th, when I put out a stat that seemed to suggest that Alabama wasn't playing well. But all year long, I have been all in on Alabama. I have said, forget it on the defensive end. Just let my guys go score points, okay? If this is the matchup they get, we've said all year long, who does Alabama struggle against? They struggle against the teams that are just like them. Guess who's not just like them? Michigan State. So I'm taking Alabama to go to the Elite Eight. And I am setting up the rematch between Alabama and Arizona. Do I trust Arizona? No, I don't. I don't trust Arizona at all. But I don't trust anybody in the bottom part of this bracket here. Maybe I should trust Scott Drew a little bit more, but I don't necessarily know that I do. And Arizona checks a lot of the boxes. So give me Arizona, Alabama in the rematch over here. Okay, so now, boy, we want to talk about setting up potential rematches. There's one that's staring me right in the face here that I don't know if I'm going to set up or not. I will say, when I really talk about like the part of the bracket that I have no idea what I want to do with, it's the Sweet 16 part of this bracket, because I could make a case for all 4 of these teams to come out of here. I really could. Like, I would feel confident in making a case for all 4 of these teams. But ultimately, I looked at this, and I'll be honest, when I started looking at Houston a little bit more, they don't necessarily fit the criteria that maybe I was looking for in a team that I want to send to the Final Four and or national championship. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't love this Duke team. And I'm going to advance Houston on just because of that. I just don't. Like, I don't love this Duke team. I could see Duke getting knocked out. If it was a Wisconsin matchup, I could see Wisconsin running their game and knocking off Duke in the second round. Could absolutely see it. So, therefore, I think the safer choice is Houston, even though I think one of those teams in round 2 could give them a problem. But I still think I know they got a couple injuries, but I still think the main part of Houston can get it done. So we won't set up the Houston rematch or the Duke rematch with a certain team. Oh man, I know there are a lot of Kentucky fans that are probably in the chat right now. I'm not even looking at the comments, but I know they're there, and I'm a little bit concerned because I'm a little worried about, because I don't know about Kentucky. Like, I'm still a little hesitant, and you got to play defense, right? You got to play defense. You got to play good defense. I'm picking Marquette. I'm sorry. And remember, this is a guy who almost picked Florida to beat Marquette, but I'm going to pick Marquette over the 2 SEC teams, maybe just to not even look like an SEC homer, but I'm going to do it anyways. This is the one game where if I were to change my pick by the time the games tip off on Thursday, I would think about putting Kentucky here because I do like, obviously, a lot about that team if they're playing well. It's the defense and numbers that Max has brought up, which is, of course, terrifies me about picking Alabama that far. But I'm going to do it anyways. All right, Purdue and the Zags. Didn't think twice about this one. I'm picking Purdue to advance. And then comes this one, where you've got Creighton and Tennessee. Rick Barnes finally got past the voodoo of beating Texas, right? He beats his old team. We're getting to the Sweet 16. Now things get interesting. Well, as much as I want to do it, I mean, we could theoretically set up multiple interesting rematches here if I decide to go this route. But I'm going to be honest. I've got to see it before I can pick it. I've got to see Tennessee release the demons before I feel like I can pick them to do it. So I'm going Creighton on this one. I know I'm really playing to the SEC crowd here, aren't I? Look, remember, the Southeastern 14 kiss of death still exists. So you should be happy that I'm picking you to lose in some of these games. Auburn to the Final Four.
Yes.
In this one.
Yes.
Are we going to get the Iron Bowl of basketball in the final? Am I really going to set up the Iron Bowl of basketball in the Final Four? I tried to get it in the chaos bracket in the SEC tournament. Alabama did not come through to make it happen. They didn't do it. They didn't come through. There's always a second chance. And so, therefore, Arizona to the Final Four to play Auburn in this matchup. I cannot take Alabama further. I apologize. I cannot do it. I cannot take them further based on the unknowns with their defense. Arizona, to me, is the safer pick. And so I'm picking Arizona to advance there. In this one, really thought hard about this because Houston, I'm sure the comments are just an absolute. I'm looking forward to seeing them here in a second. But Houston is a team that I don't know why I keep picking Houston. It's because they're a number 1 seed. But when I studied them more, I don't know. Like, I don't love them necessarily. But I think they got the best coach in the country. I know that's not going to play well either with the chat. So I'm going to take Houston to the championship, to the Final Four here. And in this part, I know what I'm about to set up. And so I feel like I need to avoid that. My thing is, if I pick Creighton, then I'm probably going to pick Creighton to play for the national championship. And am I going to be the person who picks the great Creighton Blue Jays to win it all? I think they've got a decent path to do it, but I think Purdue is better and they have the better path to get there. So therefore, I'm going to take the safe route, which usually you can go safe, picking a couple number 1 seeds in the Final Four, right? So I'm not really going too crazy there. So
that does take us to the 4.
Is that right?
The only difference is I have Mississippi State.
Oh, that's right, Mississippi State. I forgot about that. Well, I do not. I have Arizona coming out of this one. So the Final Four, we've got Auburn, we've got Arizona, Houston, Purdue. You know, the more I'm thinking about this, when I see all these people out there that are picking Auburn to go this far, and I just told you all the numbers that suggest that Auburn, if they were not in UConn's bracket, I think there were a lot of people who would just automatically advance Auburn to the Final Four and or national championship because they fit so many things of historical teams that have made this kind of run. And the more I think about it, there are similarities to the Auburn team that made the run several years ago. I will say this, just as, the guard play, Max and I have talked about it this season. I want to see the consistency from the guards. If they get the consistency from the guards, I think they can make a run here. And so, oddly enough, I thought I would be one of the few people who would do this, but I actually am going to take Auburn to the national championship game because when I see so many people out there that are like breaking down these numbers and they're showing me these stats, not just from the VEASAN guide and all this, of why Auburn is the kind of team that can make this run, I'm going to do it and pick them. And so I'm going to be okay with that, which I know will not set well with Alabama fans. But now we go to the championship, and wait, I've got to pick another team, don't I? So, man, I know they don't check all the boxes, and I know I've said it every single time, but I'm going to pick Houston to the championship with Auburn. Worries me to no end because I don't love this matchup for the national championship because, in all honesty, I feel like Purdue is maybe the stronger choice here. But when you look at Houston's overall body of work, what is there not to like?
Yeah.
Like, what is there not to like? Like, there are so many things that I think are, when you really study this team more, they've been right there in every game except for the one that got blown out, which, again, that's a conference championship game that, hey, these are two teams that did completely opposite things in their conference tournament. And so, to set it all up here, Houston, Auburn, I kind of want to pick Purdue, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stick with Houston because I think, again, you guys know I love Kelvin Sampson. Houston to win the national championship.
Wow. Okay. You're not worried about health there, Blake.
Sampson.
I am. I'm absolutely worried about it. But the thing is, if I would not have picked Houston coming out of this region, I think I would have. I'm going to be honest. Like, if I would have picked Kentucky or Marquette, I probably would have picked one of those two teams to win the national championship, like Kentucky included. And so, because I don't. Here's the thing, right? Is like I could absolutely see Creighton beating Purdue. I could even see Gonzaga beating Purdue in the right scenario. And so, because like here, I'm not saying Houston's a safe pick, but I just, this is what happens when you fill out a bracket, right? Like, you fill out a bracket, this is what you get to. It is what it is. So there you go.
Right.
Hey, there's my pick. So
we discussed doing a consensus bracket, which is a little different because then we have to take the majority of, at least 2 out of 3 to get a winner. You want to give that a shot? Because I think that'd be interesting because it's going to look different than what we did.
You two kind of, if you want. I got to hop off here in like 10 minutes.
Max has got to go. Yeah, so let's hold off on that.
That's no use.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe we'll do that for another show.
I have one thing to add, though. One thing to add. Just because I know it's a very common theme to say, well, they don't have good enough guards to win in March. I remember last year, probably saw it 2,000 times. Tristan Newton's from East Carolina transfer, first year in Power 5. He can't take them to a national championship. Dan Hurley's never been past the Sweet 16. He's not going to go to the national championship. How that turned out.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Somebody always breaks through. Like, at some point, somebody breaks through, and it happens all the time. And so when you're filling out these brackets, it's just you're almost like, all right, take your small pool of candidates you think that could break through, pick a couple of those, and just break them through, right? Just let them keep going, right? And so, I mean, we're talking about the camera. So, yeah. So there you go. I mean, look, I've changed my picks so many times. I've had UConn winning it all. I had Creighton winning it all when I first started this thing. And again, I'm like, can I really do that? I had Purdue winning it all. I don't know, man. I know the Houston health thing is there, but they're still good. Like, they're even without, like, they're still good. So there you go. That's true, Matthew. Let's go to Starkville.
I'll be honest. I had St. Mary's in my Sweet 16 about 10 minutes before we went live, and it turned to Grand Canyon and like that.
That is the first bracket I've had Alabama going that far in like the 10 I filled out trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And so ultimately I just decided to go all, I just went all in on Alabama on that one. So it's fine.
Go for it.
Whatever. But
what region, real quick, what is the region of pure chaos where you could see an FAU scenario happening where the Elite Eight is the 8 against the 7 or something like that? What is that? Just throw it in the garbage region for you.
I don't know what to do with the South because I've got something against just about every team in it. Like if you took Auburn or Tennessee and put them in the South, I would have either team in my Final Four. I keep finding reasons for everybody in the South not to get there, but somebody has to get there.
That's the thing. I think it's the West.
I have the West too.
That would be next.
Because again, I picked Michigan State to beat North Carolina. Like I think there are so many teams in the West that could advance to the Final Four or just to the Elite Eight. There's so many combinations I think you could get out of there.
Like I honestly think you could pick the 1 seed through the 11 seed to go to the Final Four in the West, and no one can tell you like you're an idiot.
Yeah. Well, here's something else too why I leaned in on Houston. So if you look at the past 4 years, right? Final Four, Elite Eight, Sweet 16, and they're a 30-win team. So I'm like, they've been pretty consistent in terms of reaching the second weekend. And I think that second matchup, like you said, against an A&M would worry me probably just as much as the next matchup for them. And so if they can get past that, take a shot. So hold on, let me get to this one because I don't know about if we think Kentucky has a chance. I don't think that's true at all. I think we all think Kentucky has a chance, but I think Max has brought up the stats, right? And Kentucky applies in terms of the defensive numbers. Correct, Max? As they fit into that category?
If they make it to the Final Four, they'd be the second team in history to make it to the Final Four with a sub 100 defense. Miami did it last year. I mean, times are changing. You never know. They've got the talent to do it. And I will always say in March, go with your gut and take your team and just do it. Don't go with all what everyone else says. If you like Kentucky to make a run, pick Kentucky to make a run. Because if it happens, it would be awesome.
Hey. What about this comment from Sean? Sleeping on the Gamecocks. Look, we're doing this purposefully. This is what we do here at Southeastern.
There's levels to this.
We got a plan. We're trying to sleep on the Gamecocks so they can keep marching through March. So we're trying.
There were an unusual number of birds in the Midwest Regional. A
lot of birds there.
Peacocks are down there.
A lot of fans throwing us the birds after some of our pick.
I'm sure.
Yeah. We may have a Houston problem, EJ. You're not wrong. I'd say, look,
my concern is Houston is not the Houston that you've drawn up with the numbers because of the injury absences.
Yeah, but I mean, they're still.
Last time out, they got obliterated by Iowa State.
Okay, so that's their one bad game all season. All season.
Yeah, and it's also when they don't have guys healthy.
They also beat Texas Tech by 23, and they beat TCU by 15, 2 other tournament teams.
Well, and in your defense, we've seen Houston do this before, have injury issues, and then still win.
They've played 5 guys before and still got to like the whatever. So they're not the deepest team in the country. No, they're not. But like I said, picking a bracket, man. I have no confidence in Houston winning the national championship. I'm just picking a bracket. That's all I'm doing. So.
Blake, drop the link to the bracket challenge again in the chat if you could.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they're hurt, but they still got beat by 30. Me, yeah, there you go. Right? It's no big deal. Like that's how you have to think through this. Okay, so link to the okay. Hold on.
Well, the thing with Houston, why I kind of like Houston is because I've watched a lot of Duke this year. And if there's one thing Duke can't do, it's handle physicality. Do not do well with physicality. And welcome to physicality with Houston there. But who knows? It's March. I mean, A&M could beat Houston and Vermont could beat Duke, and we're all sitting here like idiots. Yeah. Who knows?
I'm not putting money on Houston. Let's just put it that way. There you go. That's the real sign of who you're confident in. I am not putting money on Houston in any way, shape, or form. So, but that's where I got my bracket and gave you. So there's a link to our challenge, by the way, guys, in the comments if you want to join the Southeastern 14 pool of champions or whatever we're calling it, group of champions. So we'll see if we all keep our picks by the time the games kick off on Thursday, because more than likely Purdue's winning my national championship. So, anyways.
You're going to switch to Purdue?
No, I won't. No, honor system. I won't change any of my picks.
I'm locked in.
Now, my other brackets, family bracket, I'm probably going to not have Houston winning it all. So, yeah.
All right.
All in, Matt, on Kentucky. I got so many future bets on Kentucky right now, it's not even funny.
Someone said I fade the whole
When will they
conference.
play?
I got Mississippi State in my Final Four.
He's got Auburn versus Mississippi State in the Final Four. Who else out there has Auburn and Mississippi State
I'm
in
the
the Final
one
Four?
that had no SEC teams in the Final Four. I'll take the rap for that.
Chris is
more
fading the
biased.
league. I'm not.
And it's
Max isn't.
because I hated the matchups. So
Yeah. There
People
you
are
go.
asking for the VSiN bracket guide.
Oh, so go to, let's see if I can share. Well, I don't want to share it because YouTube's funny about that. Just go to vsin.com, VSIN.com, and you will see, you have to be like, I don't know if it's like part of their pro subscription or something.
You have to be subscribed.
Yeah, I don't know what the thing is, but you can find it there. It's in their tools. So go to vsin.com, the little menu bar at the top. There's one that says tools, and you'll see it down there, betting guides. It's probably part of the pro deal, but you may be able to buy it also just like separately too. So check it out. It's a lot of good information. It really is. So, and a lot of it definitely contradicts our thoughts on some of these games. But I mean, we don't have time to study every single trend. So yeah. So there you go. All right, Max, gotta get out of here. We appreciate you guys.
Lots of stuff coming up. Somebody asking about baseball content. We did do power rankings Monday. To be completely honest, I'm the one guy, the three of us, that does baseball. I've got a little help on the side with that, but not much. This is our priority right now. The minute that SEC teams are eliminated, I will be all in on baseball. And I'm keeping up a good bit as I am, but it's not what it will be. So anyway, that's the most honest way to answer that question. That is my favorite sport. Why I'm on an SEC podcast when I clearly hate the SEC. Well, this was my idea to found the company. So, just going to throw that out there. Any parting thoughts, Max Barr?
No, just if Mississippi State loses, just don't come at me because I'll be hurting already. Don't kick me while I'm down.
Don't do it.
We're looking fun. I would love nothing more than an all SEC Final Four. Don't care which four. That would be out of the park. So
there you go. All right. Well, listen, guys, check out everything. Like we said, join the bracket group in the link there. You can also be sure to check out our Substack. I'll throw the link in that real quick. And, follow us everywhere, and we'll have thoughts. We're all going to get our bracket wrong, but you know what? We're going to be covering these games, and we're going to have a lot of fun with it. So hit the subscribe button, hit the like button before you jump out of here. 700 people watching right now, so we appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thanks for watching. We put a lot of time and effort in this, but don't take us too seriously. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We do this. We have a lot of fun with it. We do our homework. We're always wrong because people are always wrong. So when we are wrong, come back and let us know in the comments. Just come back. Either way, we're glad you guys are here. We love our audience. You guys are fantastic. I don't think we said that enough. We really appreciate you guys. We see a lot of the same names. Even the criticism. We know you guys like to have fun with this, and we're having fun with you guys too. So thank you all for being here. Thanks to Mac. Thanks to Mac. Whoever. BJ Mack. Thank you,
that
BJ
a slip?
Mack.
Was that a slip for Vanderbilt's next
Chris
coach?
Mack? I don't know. Could be.
Was that a South Carolina nod? Either one.
You never know with us. I never know. Anyway, thank you to Max. Thank you to Blake. Thank you to our audience. Thank you to Bet Online. We are Southeastern 14. Thanks for watching. We'll see you.